The Traveler. An audio story by Mahesh Ravi. Chapter 1. A completely accidental encounter. Outside, the rain was coming down in sheets, striking the thin rooftop above with a splattering intensity that echoed through the air. I could clearly hear each droplet as it shattered on impact. Two police officers flanked me on either side, walking in measured silence. My eyes stayed fixed on the ground. My hands were cuffed, not with standard issue shackles, but with something refined. The craftsmanship was remarkable. Engraved subtly on the right side of the cuff was a tiny inscription, Hyatt type, possibly the manufacturer's name. The fit was unnervingly perfect, as though custom made for my wrists. Surprisingly, it wasn't all that uncomfortable. I could still move my hands just enough to scratch an itch or light a cigarette, if anyone trusted me with one. We had been walking for what felt like a long time. My legs ached. Eventually, the officer on my right stepped ahead and knocked forcefully on a solid iron door. It groaned open with a screech that could slice nerves. They handed me over to another figure and turned back the way they came, without a word. Now I was in a narrow corridor lined with cells on both sides. I couldn't make out the faces within, only murmurs, coughs, and low groans, rising like steam from the dark. It was just as I'd imagined it might be. Above me, tungsten bulbs buzzed with a sickly whine, casting everything in a pale orange glow. The entire prison swam in it, soaked like a forgotten photograph. A cell door opened ahead of me. I stepped into a small, bare room. The only object inside was a narrow iron bed, covered with a white sheet that seemed more symbolic than practical. I was about to spend the majority of my remaining life here, it seemed. The guard removed the cuffs, shot me a final glance, sharp and unreadable, and walked away. Strangely, he left the cell door wide open. Had he forgotten? If I walked out now, would anyone even notice? Possibly. Could I make it outside, unseen? Maybe. But to what end? I laughed silently at the thought and collapsed onto the bed. Was it still raining outside? I closed my eyes and pictured myself escaping, scaling walls, ducking under searchlights, vanishing into the city. But the images were cinematic, unreal. A sudden sound broke the fantasy. Someone outside was locking my cell. A few things were now inside with me: a bucket, a tattered blanket, and a metal cup, filled, I hoped, with water. I lay back down, trying to think of ways to make this prison life bearable. Sleep wouldn't come. I was sweating. There was no denying it anymore. Whatever I'd done, I had done consciously. There was no claiming innocence. I couldn't recall the full sequence of events, not clearly, but flashes surfaced, faded, like half-remembered scenes from an old film. Running into the house, his startled face, her falling to the floor, crying, pleading. Me, towering above, smashing a telephone down on her skull. They say I struck her many times, but she must have died within the first 2 or 3. Somewhere between those thoughts, I must have fallen asleep, because now I was being led again, through another dim corridor. At the end of it stood a figure, part woman, part machine, with a telephone in place of a head. The jailer stood beside me as I was made to witness her, to witness what was done to her. I awoke with a jolt. Someone else was in the room. In the faint light, I could make out a shadow moving in the far corner. I sat up, heart racing. The cell door was still locked. How had he gotten in? Was this the ghost of some long-dead inmate? A soul left behind? Whoever he was, I decided I would at least ask him for a beady. I stood slowly, picked up the water jug, and set it down opposite the door, letting the light outside reflect off its surface. The added glow illuminated the far end of the room, and the man standing there. He was tall, wearing a long coat, not a fellow prisoner. His face was clean-shaven, glasses neatly perched. He could have been a businessman or a magician. Either way, he had no business being in my cell. And yet he walked calmly toward the bed and sat down beside me. "Mr. Phillip, we have much to discuss," he said, his gaze unwavering. "But there's little time left before dawn, and this isn't the place or the moment for such conversations. Are you willing to step away with me for a short while?" I couldn't foresee what this man was leading me into, but somehow I felt it might be preferable to whatever else this night held for me. That instinct, quiet and inexplicable, won out. "Yes," I said simply. He smiled and extended his hand toward me. There was something magnetic in the gesture, as though my mind had decided long before my body did. I reached out and took it. "Lawrence," he said, "call me that." From the inside of his coat, he produced a small vial, half filled with a green liquid that shimmered faintly in the dim light. "This will prepare your body for where we're going." He handed it to me. I hesitated, unsure, but curiosity prevailed. I unscrewed the cap and drank the contents in a single swallow. Surprisingly, it tasted sweet, like honey and mint. "Sit down for a moment," he said, though I was already doing so. My limbs were growing heavy, a strange numbness spreading through me. "Don't be alarmed, it's all perfectly natural," Lawrence reassured me. "Mr. Phillip, in a moment, I want you to climb onto the bed and stand beside me. Keep hold of my hand, and when I tell you, we're going to jump together. Do not let go." There was no logic to what he was saying, and yet I followed. Perhaps because I had no will left to question it. Perhaps because, like the woman with the telephone for a head, none of this felt real anymore. Then, without warning, he pulled me downward. I clenched my eyes shut. We were falling, but not in the way gravity dictates. I hadn't touched the ground. It felt as though we were suspended in air, levitating just above the floor. Had we really jumped that far from the bed? Lawrence's grip on my right hand was still firm. "Mr. Phillip," he said calmly, "we're going to fall now. Don't be afraid. We'll land on something soft." And then we did. There was a sudden tug in my abdomen, as though some unseen force had yanked me violently downward. I struck the ground face first, except it didn't hurt. It felt like falling onto a dense, forgiving mattress, just as he'd promised. I opened my eyes slowly. This wasn't the dark prison cell anymore. Instead, a burst of light, my vision blurred, struggling to adjust. Lawrence was beside me, lying still. I turned my head, taking in the surroundings. A large room, whitewashed and quiet. We were lying on a bed, blue sheets beneath us, smooth and unfamiliar. The door opened. 3 figures entered, clad in the sterile white garments. "Everything went smoothly, I trust?" asked the tallest of them, offering his hand to Lawrence with a practiced familiarity. "Mr. Phillip, don't be alarmed," Lawrence said with the same unnerving smile. "Just a little more patience. All your questions will be answered very soon." But I was no closer to understanding. Who were these people, and what had I just stepped into?
To be continued.